Good Thursday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, we made it over the hump, and we're in the home stretch toward the weekend. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up today. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and today, in an entertainment spotlight, you're being part of my conversation with recording artist Chelsey James. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Thursday headlines. In national news, the Mississippi State Department of Health reported 2,643 new COVID-19 cases in Mississippi and 43 additional deaths on Wednesday. There have now been 200,325 COVID-19 cases in the Magnolia State and 4,533 coronavirus-related deaths in Mississippi since March. State Health Officer Dr. Thomas Dobbs urged Mississippians to keep their holiday gatherings small. And beware of the silent superspreader at your holiday table, he says. We catch COVID from people we love, people we know. It could be your cousin, your best friend, your nephew. It could even be you, Dobbs said in a tweet. Most people who spread COVID don't know they have it. There have been nearly 18 million COVID-19 cases in the country, and more than 318,000 people have died, according to data from the Johns Hopkins University. In more national news, Trump vetoes defense bill, setting up possible override vote. President Donald Trump on Wednesday vetoed the annual defense policy bill, following through on threats to veto a measure that is broad bipartisan support in Congress and potentially setting up the first override vote of his presidency. The bill affirms 3% pay raises for U.S. troops and authorizes more than $740 billion in military programs and construction. The action came while Trump was holed up at the White House, stewing about his election loss and escalating his standoff with Republicans as he pushed fraudulent conspiracy theories and tried to pressure them to back his efforts to overturn the results. The House was poised to return Monday and the Senate on Tuesday to consider votes to override the president's veto of the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA. Trump's move provoked its swift condemnation, with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling it an act of staggering recklessness that harms our troops, endangers our security, and undermines the will of the bipartisan Congress. In more national news, COVID relief bill morphs into a test of GOP loyalty to Trump. Threatening to tank Congress' massive COVID relief and government funding package, President Donald Trump's demand for bigger aid checks for Americans is forcing Republicans traditionally wary of such spending into an uncomfortable test of allegiance. On Today, House Democrats who also favor $2,000 checks will all but dare Republicans to break with Trump, calling up his proposal for a Christmas Eve vote. The president's last-minute objection could derail critical legislation amid a raging pandemic and deep economic uncertainty. His attacks risk a federal government shutdown by early next week. Just when you think you have seen it all, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wrote Wednesday in a letter to her colleagues. The entire country knows that it is urgent for the president to sign this bill, she said, both to provide the coronavirus relief and to keep government open. Republicans, led by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, have resisted $2,000 checks as too costly. They have not said that they will block the vote. In business news, U.S. layoffs remain elevated as 803,000 seek jobless aid. The number of Americans seeking unemployment benefits fell by 89,000 last week to a still elevated 803,000, evidence that the job market remains under stress 9 months after the coronavirus outbreak sent the U.S. economy into a recession and caused millions of layoffs. The latest figures released on Wednesday by the Labor Department showed that many employers are still cutting jobs as the pandemic tightens business restrictions and leads many consumers to stay home. Before the virus struck, jobless claims typically numbered around 225,000, a week before shooting up to 6.9 million in early spring when the virus, in efforts to contain it, flattened the economy. And finally, in entertainment news, Discovery increases stake in Oprah Winfrey's OWN to 95%. Discovery now has just under 95% ownership of OWN, the joint venture between Oprah Winfrey and Discovery. The company has increased its stake from its prior holding of 73%. A person familiar with the matter tells Variety, adding that the gradual increase has long been part of the plan. In return, Winfrey has received more than $35 million in Discovery shares. Discovery last upped its ownership of OWN in late 2017, paying $70 million for another 24.5% stake from Winfrey's Harpo Incorporated. Harpo, which has over 1.34 million shares of Discovery, also registered in an 8-K filing on Tuesday the option to sell 670,000 shares of Discovery stock. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Enjoy.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Service to others is a beautiful thing. First, like any other spiritual principle, in order to give to others, you must be able to give to yourself. The more you give to yourself, the more you have to give to the other people in your life. Your world reflects the relationship you have with yourself. When you have a fulfilling relationship with yourself, you can serve others from a place of wholeness and purpose. Fill yourself with peace, joy, and fulfillment. Now you are better able to serve others with empathy and compassion. You are able to give from your heart as your sense of fulfillment grows. Today, develop your own sense of joy, purpose, and fulfillment so you can become better able to serve others. And always enjoy your day.
Recording artist Chelsey James is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight, right here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Recording artist Chelsey James joined me recently on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about the year that's been 2020 and her brand new single, Hands on the Bible. Here's a bit of our conversation. What has it been like for you to see the response to the single, Chelsey?
Well, when I decided to record the song, I didn't know how the audience was going to receive it, but I knew that I loved the song so much, I just had to record it and release it for myself, regardless of if people liked it or not. Of course, I loved it, so I was hoping that people would, but,
Right.
It turned out that, and I guess I was kind of expecting this, but I was also surprised by how many messages and responses I received just about how this year has been for everyone. I can safely say it's been rough on probably everyone on Earth this year.
Right.
And the responses I was getting, not just about that they liked the song, but how it touched people and how it's been like a saving grace to hear this message after this, this really tough year. I mean, I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten like, I just lost my grandma this year and, due to COVID, and this song reminds me of her. I mean, just stuff like that. Like, I'm just blown away. And I was hoping that it would be, something that could lift people up in this year, something to inspire everyone. So I'm just blown away by all of my responses. So I'm so happy.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll have you guys on tomorrow to wrap up this week. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.